Hey guys, welcome back. We're going to start today with a little review. Nothing new, just the same things that you did last week. You're going to practice color coding and labeling these sentences. So let's look at the first one. Officer Davis searched the abandoned warehouse thoroughly with her canine partner late into the evening. So notice that we're going to need to include not only the when, where, why, how with the action blocks, but we're going to have to say whether it is a prepositional phrase, a dependent clause, an infinitive phrase, or an adverb, which we label with a how-ly. So if you need the help, this is why you have a guidebook. It serves as your textbook. So if you're working on something like this and you're struggling because you can't remember what an infinitive phrase is, don't sit there stuck. Don't guess. Take out that guidebook, look through it, and see what it says on that page. Let it help you. During a test that you have later this week, or in a few days from now, depending on what day it is for you, you're going to be able to use your notebook. So when I give tests, my students use their notebooks almost all the time because I don't care if they memorized information. What I care about is if they know information. If they forget it, they can go and get the information and they can process that information to give me an answer. So, not worried about memorizing. I'm just worried about you being able to write sentences even with the help of your guidebook. All right, Officer Davis, let's see. Let's get ready to highlight. All right, so we'll color code and then we will label. Officer Davis searched the abandoned warehouse thoroughly with her canine partner late in the evening. So our subject is Officer Davis. Our action is searched the abandoned warehouse. And then we have some action blocks. We have thoroughly with her canine partner. And we have late in the evening. So let's get to labeling. We color coded first, so that makes it super simple for us to go ahead and match up the parts. So Officer Davis is our subject. Search the abandoned house is our action, abandoned warehouse. Thoroughly, so we're going to say how with an adverb. With her canine partner. That also tells us how, but it's not an adverb. It is with partner. It's a preposition, object of the preposition, so it's a prepositional phrase. With her canine partner late in the evening. So in the evening is a prepositional phrase that tells us where. Just like this, you're going to finish the rest of the page. I believe it goes to 12. Now I know it goes to 12. And then we'll look at something new. Right. We're going to look at the paragraph or the 5 sentences that you wrote yesterday about the puppy in just a few minutes. But first, I want to talk to you about how we are going to evaluate what you wrote. So let's look at these two words. We have house and home. Words you're very familiar with. Now, when you hear this word, they evoke a different feeling from one another. For example, with house, that makes us think about the building and the structure, right? And when we hear the word home, that evokes different feelings of warmth or coziness or familiarity or maybe the family that's in there. So those two words have the same meaning. They have the same literal meaning, the same definition, which is denotation, but they have different connotations. Connotation is when a word gives you a feeling or it has an extra meaning beyond its dictionary definition. And so the connotations of words can be positive, they can be negative, or they can simply be neutral. Let's look at this picture, for example. Very close to connotation is something called mood, right? Authors use word connotation to affect the mood. When you see a picture like this, what are some words that come to mind? sunny, happy, bright. We're talking about words with positive connotations because this picture makes us feel positive, right? So if we look at this picture, it's essentially the opposite. So how does this picture make you feel? Maybe depressed, gloomy, dreary, nervous. You could be worried if it's a storm. So those are all words with negative connotations. Those negative connotation words describe this negative mood that you can see in the sea. So again, let's look at these two pictures. We just talked about the mood, the emotional atmosphere or feeling that a writer creates for the reader, or the effect that the writing has on the reader's emotion. So mood can evoke various emotions such as happiness, sad, fear, it's elation, and dread. So let's look beyond the mood of these pictures and let's look at some words and evaluate their connotation. The kids laughed brightly under the clear blue sky as they enjoyed the perfect summer day. At the sunny beach, they played cheerfully with the waves until sunset. With sand between their toes, they built sand castles as the warm breeze blew. So when we look at this, we see lots of words that have positive connotations. Laughed. You have brightly, clear, positive connotation word. Enjoyed, perfect. Summer has a connotation, a positive connotation. Again, sunny, beach even, okay? Cheerfully. Sand between their toes, use a good phrase. Sandcastles, warm breeze. So these are all positive connotation words. They contribute to the positive mood of the picture and they establish that feeling of happiness, positivity. On the opposite side of the spectrum, here we go with the opposite, right? The kids shuffled miserably. What are some negative connotation words? Shuffled miserably under the dark clouds to escape the approaching storm. You want to escape. Sense of urgency and due. Okay, in the pouring rain, they huddled, how uncomfortably, beneath the dripping trees for hours. With soaked shoes. Does that sound terrible? Soaked shoes. They trudged home, okay, as the thunder rumbled. So here, these words that have negative connotations help contribute to the negative mood that the picture provides. With a picture, you can convey a mood very easily through images, through art. So with words, we use connotation. Connotation is the emotional or the cultural associations of a word beyond its literal meaning. Here are some words, and what I want us to do is separate or classify these words by positive and negative connotations. So we're going to put the positive connotation words up here. So here we'll have positive. So here we'll put the positive connotation words. And here we'll put the negative connotation words. And in the middle, put the neutral. I think we're going to have a neutral. All right, brave, that has a positive connotation. How about reckless? Negative because it implies that you're not being careful, right? The word wreck, like you should be careful. Clingy. Clingy is negative, right? That means you are too attached. You won't leave someone alone. You're being clingy. Maybe a small toddler is clingy with his mother. Excitable. Seems like a positive word. Goofy seems to have a positive connotation, right? Go ahead and look at these words. And I want you to see if you can separate them into positive, neutral, and negative. Let's see. What's one word that could be neutral? I put many of them in here. I think all of these we could actually put in the positive or the negative category, but we'll see. Let's see what you come up with. All right, so let's see if my math checks out with yours. I would put courageous, definitely positive, courage. Stubborn would be negative, like I would describe. someone I'm around who does not like to change, shall not be named. So confident would be a positive thing. Hardened. If you're hardened, that's not good, right? Helpful would be definitely positive, and the word help is a positive connotation. Observant. Okay, I would give that one a neutral. Observant. It could be positive or it could be neutral. Resilient means that you have overcome something, so that's definitely positive. Determined means you're not going to give up. Another positive word. Suspicious. If you're suspicious, it's definitely not a great thing, okay? Humorous. That could be a neutral word or it could be a positive word, so I'll put it in neutral. Could be a neutral word for funny, right? Where goofy would be a positive word. Let's see. Erratic would be negative. That means that you're not being very stable, right? Again, cocky, negative. Dedicated. Dedicated is definitely positive, right? Positive connotation, as is supportive. And then obsessive, I would put definitely in the negative category. And it's possible that you rationalize that some of these were neutral. If I were grading this activity, as long as you could give me a rational reason why you put a word here or there, I would mark it correctly because connotations are not strictly black and white. There's some gray area, and it has to do a lot with your own knowledge and culture, what you already know and have experienced, and you bring to a word. All right, so let's move on. And we're going to read the 5 sentences that I wrote yesterday to fit the 5 sentence patterns that I gave you. So I'm going to show you how to evaluate using my paragraph, and then you'll go ahead and evaluate your own. So it says, read over these 5 sentences I wrote for activity 3 below and answer the questions that follow. Spark bolted down the winding alley at first light. He rummaged through the garbage, pursued several cats, and dozed in the shade. The dog sniffed around in the tangled underbrush to search for familiar scent. With a lonely feeling setting in, Spark roamed the city until darkness. He yapped frantically to summon his owners until he fell asleep. So let's see, what's the mood in the first 2 sentences? And if we go back, we talked about mood specifically. Mood is the emotional atmosphere or feeling that a writer creates for the reader or the effect that the writing has on the reader's emotion. All right? So Spark bolted down the alley at first light. He rummaged through the garbage, pursued several cats, and dozed in the shade. So it sounds like Spark's having a pretty good day. How would you describe the mood? Okay, you might say fun. That's a simple word, right? Fun, adventurous. So you might say one of those words. Number 2 says to highlight words in the first 2 sentences that show the mood you named above. Okay, so I would highlight bolted, right? That's an adventurous word. At first light, rummaged. Okay. Pursued, that sounds like he's having an adventure. Dozed in the shade, that actually makes it seem relaxing, but also fun and good. It's at least positive. Number 3, how does the mood shift in the third sentence? So I would say the mood definitely changes. It goes from a positive mood to a more neutral mood. So a mood, that's enormous. What did we do here? I know what we did. So the mood shifts from a positive mood to a neutral one in the third sentence. What is the mood in the last 2? What is the mood in the last 2 sentences? With the lonely feeling setting in, Spark roamed the city until darkness. He yapped frantically to summon his owners until he fell asleep. So here we have a more negative mood. How would you describe the mood in the last sentence? You could say lonely, sad. Sad's a basic word. So you could say lonely, dark, desperate. So whereas the sentence started off fun and adventurous, all of a sudden in the middle sentence, it's like he's not having fun anymore. He searches a familiar scent, that changes to neutral, and then it changes to a negative mood with a lonely feeling setting in. Spark roam the city until darkness. All right, number 5. Highlight words in the last 2 sentences that show the mood you named above: lonely, dark, desperate. Well, lonely. That'll give you a lonely feeling, right? The word lonely. So with the lonely feeling setting in, Spark roamed the city, roamed, he's looking. Darkness. Oh, he yapped frantically to summon his owners until he fell asleep. Oh, he fell asleep. So getting darker, right? Now for number 6 and 7, you're going to go back and you're going to read the paragraph or the 5 sentences that you wrote yesterday about Spark. And you're going to identify the mood. This says tone, but it's mood. Sorry about that. You're going to identify and write words or phrases in your narrative that show the mood you named above. Once you do that, we will regroup. And I've got one more thing to show you today. All right. Now that you've evaluated the mood in your own writing, you're going to rewrite this paragraph for a specific connotation. You're going to use the same 5 sentence patterns. This is not changing. But this time you are very, very annoyed with Spark as you write the sentences. Spark's been a very, very naughty dog, and you've pretty much had enough of his shenanigans. So you're going to retell Spark's adventure with the mood of frustration. Again, you're going to want to use words that evoke the feeling of frustration, okay? So we want to make sure that the reader feels frustrated when they read your words. Okay, so to rewrite these sentences with a mood of frustration, you're going to want to use some words with negative connotations, and you want to make sure that you're using specific words to manipulate the reader's mood or how the reader feels. So that's connotation. So we want words with a negative connotation. For example, we're not going to use, let's get one more slide going here. So when you write these sentences, you're not going to be using verbs like pranced or frolicked. Those are too playful. Okay, you're not going to nuzzled. What are some other positive words? Wagged. Okay, so we're not going to be using these happy words. Think more along the lines of what could the dog do that's naughty? So you could maybe he tore through the trash, right? Okay. Or he ravaged or wrecked something. Maybe he trampled. He snapped. What about tearing something up? Shredded. He howled. That could be negative, right? That sounds annoying. Scattered and chalked. And what are some more words that you can think of? Someone can write those on the board, or you can write these down and use them to help you think of things. And especially if you're kind of stuck or not sure where to go, these should help you. Remember that you can also get ideas from your guidebook. They'll help you start and create every kind of action block that we have. And you've also got a page of vivid verbs in your book to help you. So make sure you use all those resources to write this 5 sentence narrative about Spark's day.